Hope you're able to enjoy some of this sunshine in the beginning of summer as we turn the page here. Welcome to this gathering virtually for worship. We're glad you found our resources that we make available each week so that you're able to worship in your home. And if you found your way to us for the first time, we're glad that you have. For those of you who are members and regular attenders of Berean, we continue to want to communicate to you some of the things that we're talking about and planning as we look towards the future. And with restrictions having been lifted, we are excited that we are able to gather in some smaller groups. And so we continue to encourage you to invite one or two other households to join you on Sundays or on any day to gather for fellowship and prayer and for worship, and to take advantage of that opportunity to once again be able to be together with God's people. We also want to make sure that you saw that we have a congregational vote that we're in the midst of taking. The deadline for that is midnight Sunday, June 7th. If you missed the congregational meeting that we had last Sunday, the recording of that is on our Facebook group, where we were able to present some of the items that are being voted on, the budget, slates of deacons, and other things. And so please take advantage of that. And if you have questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to the office. The final thing is that, as we also mentioned last week, there is a survey that's available on our website that we would like you to participate in as we continue to weigh the decision to re-enter our facilities for regular weekly worship gatherings. And as we do that, it's important that we have your input as a congregation in terms of your thinking, what you're comfortable with, what your expectations are, as well as how you're doing during this time of pandemic. And so we encourage you to participate in that survey if you have not already. And as we do that, I want to share with you that as a board, as a staff, as leadership, we're continuing to have regular conversations to evaluate that decision. And I want to stress that it's not as simple as, are we permitted by the governor or our county officials to meet? It isn't even as simple as, is it safe relative to what the virus is doing in our community for us to meet? A friend of mine who's a pastor of a church here in Kent County shared a helpful tool and identified 6 responsibilities that we have as a church when it comes to this decision. The first is that we have a responsibility to be in submission to the governing authorities. Scripture makes that clear. That submission is not absolute, but it is one of our responsibilities. We have a responsibility to shepherd the flock as your leadership, and that means looking out for the well-being and the care, health, and safety, physically and spiritually, of those that are part of our congregation. We have a responsibility to be a trusted presence in our communities. What we do and the decisions we make impact and communicate to our neighbors whether we take their safety and health seriously or not. And we want to continue, as we have for so long, to be a trusted presence in the Creston neighborhood. We also have a responsibility to prioritize the gathering of the body. That is a priority for us. And we're going to be saying a great deal more about that in the coming weeks as we spend several weeks preaching on the nature of the gathering of the church. It is of vital importance for us to be with God's people on a regular basis. We also have 2 other responsibilities. One is to contend for the unity of the church. That is to say that at the end of this, it's vital that we be more united rather than divided as a result of this season in our nation's life and in the life of our congregation. And that 6th responsibility is how we achieve that. And that's the responsibility to defer to one another in disputable matters. The decision of when, whether, and how to return to our buildings is a disputable matter. There is not a clear word from God that applies to every congregation, or even, I would say, specifically to our congregation. And so we will have a variety of opinions, and as we've looked at the survey results so far, we can see that there is a diversity of opinions within our congregation. And so I would stress to all of us that we lean into that responsibility to defer to one another, to give each other latitude to exercise our wisdom, our conscience, and to do what seems most prudent, trusting that we will stay together and united as God's Spirit leads and guides us. So we appreciate your prayers for guidance for us as we continue to navigate these decisions. We continue to welcome your input, and we trust that God will preserve us in all things as He has so faithfully from generation to generation. Enjoy your time of worship this morning. God bless.